out of a commitment to pet safety, Crochet Kitty took shape when Abbie Swisher, disheartened by finding rocks inside a torn cat toy, set out to create a line of safe and enjoyable alternatives. With her beloved cat, Chandler, narrowly avoiding a serious health hazard from a poorly made toy, Abbie transformed from a pet owner into an entrepreneur and crusader for pet safety. Since then, Crochet Kitty has crafted thousands of rock-free, safe, and delightful toys that have found their way into homes across Ohio and around the globe. Their commitment to creating safe play experiences for pets has brought joy to cats in countries as far-reaching as France, Finland, Iceland, Germany, China, Japan, Australia, and beyond. Today, Abbie is focused on the growth of Crochet Kitty in a niche and competitive pet toy market while maintaining her unique and lively brand identity. On this episode of Small Business Big Conversations, Abbie Swisher of Crochet Kitty. Abbie, it is a pleasure to have you here today.
It's great to be here.
I was going to start by just getting the backstory on Crochet Kitty, but I didn't know we were going to have another guest, so I don't know if you want to introduce the co-host today.
Yeah, so this is Olivia. She's hanging out with us. She's my support animal. She comes with me with every show. Man, I can't even talk now. Woo! She steals the show.
All right, well, we will...
yeah.
Great. That's great. We'll get back to Olivia probably in a little bit, but let's start with you and the story of Crochet Kitty. Talked about it a little bit in the intro, but go through the story of what kind of inspired you to create this specialty line of feline toys.
Yeah, so it actually started with my own personal experience. My cat had a toy, and of course he destroyed it. But there were rocks inside that toy, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was like freaked out that my cat could have ate these toys or broke a tooth or caused internal harm to himself. So I just was like, oh my gosh, I gotta make my own toy. So I been crocheting for many years, and so I made a crocheted catnip mouse, and that's how we got started.
That's awesome. And from there, it went from one crocheted catnip mouse to how many products do we have now, different varieties and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we have over 45 different products. We have catnip toys, we have crinkle toys, we have catnip and crinkle toys, we have silver vine toys. We just have a whole selection of, and Olivia loves all of them.
I can tell. I mean, this is a unique product in a niche market, but also a full market.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that uniqueness and what kind of sets you apart? Obviously, no rocks is a big one, right?
Right.
But what sets you apart from the competition out there?
So what really sets us apart is, one, our whimsical designs, but also us creating safer toys for our pets. The whimsical designs really catches their eyes, and then when we say our experience and our story, they kind of are like, whoa, you're serious? Like, and I'm like, there are so many unsafe products out there for your cats, and people just don't realize that because it hasn't happened to them yet. So it's so important that you actually know that, and I think conveying that is very hard in translation.
So it's like, I mean, safety is like the cornerstone of everything that you're doing. What processes do you put in place? I have to imagine, I guess, that like as you grow more, you're not crocheting individually every single toy that goes out the door. So what processes do you have in place to ensure that they're safe and that all your manufacturing standards are like super high and up to snuff? Yeah,
so a lot of standards for us, but without giving away the pie, we do a lot of security stitches. We double stitch around the outer perimeter. We have some stabilizer in there to help with the fabric durability. So there's a few different things that we do in designing it also that makes them safer for our pets.
So like I mentioned, I mean, cat toys are a niche market, but boy, do people, it's you're in the pet market, so like people love their pets.
Yeah.
And I didn't look up what like the market cap is. Maybe Olivia did on cat toys, and like globally, like how much is actually spent on those.
Yeah, I could actually tell you the number.
Okay, all right.
So last year, the cat toy market is $951 million. And it will be,
I believe it.
It will be $1.3 billion in less than a few years.
So how do you carve out your chunk of that niche? What strategies have you put in place to
Yeah,
get
to get there. I think actually just going to shows is very important to our not only our customers, but also our retail customers, and educating people. When you educate people, then it's like a light bulb turns on, and then they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about this stuff. And now they're taking a little bit more focus on, what products they're buying and what is the toy made out of. 45% of American pet owners are actually looking for safer products in their when they go and look for these things, because they don't want their cat to consume things and have a surgery that costs them thousands of dollars.
Right.
Unfortunately, foreign body surgeries is the top 5 surgeries for veterinarians.
That's the first time anybody has said foreign body surgery on this podcast as well. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
But, so there's a want and there's a need there. There's an audience there. But every business, whether you're, just getting started or you're, a huge mega national corporation, faces different challenges in reaching their market. What are some of the challenges that you have faced to this point?
I think marketing just alone is like a challenge for me, because it is like my least favorite thing, I guess. So getting out there with Facebook ads, getting to different markets, I think is a challenge, because some of these markets are so expensive.
Yeah.
So that financial struggle of just affording them to go these places, every expo or B2B market you're talking about $7,000 just for a 10 by 10 booth. And it's outrageous, but you keep working at your business, and then you're like, okay, now I have the money for this, and then you go to it and you go, okay, now I've reached these people, now I'm getting to somewhere, and I'm getting this ball rolling. And I think retailers, once they see that you're in this store, they're like, well, she's in this store, maybe I should have her in my store. So then that also creates a snowball effect. So
you talked about the trade show side of it and digital marketing side of it. Those are kind of two different markets, really. So you've got your business to business, where you're trying to get into those stores. You've got your business to consumer, where people can go right now to your website.
Yes.
They can go right now to your website.
CrochetKitty.com.
and they could buy, any of these things. What are some of the differences in the approach that you're taking to reach those two? And maybe this is along the same lines. As you said, that marketing has been a challenge. What have been some of the maybe still challenges, or have some of the successful tactics that you've learned to implement so far?
So the hook. You have to have a hook. You have to have something that you say to them that it just resonates with them so easily, that you can get them to have the moments with you, and keep talking to them. When you're talking to customers, one, you want to know if they have a cat, and you also want to know, but it's also important of what their cat likes, what they don't like. If you can find those clues out just with having a simple conversation, it really makes it easy for you to be like, you should go with this product, and this product would be a good fit for you. Now, when you're talking to B2B customers, that's a quite different conversation. It's like, one, do you have space for us? What cat toys are you already offering? What would you like to offer them? So it's about engaging questions that you can find out what their actual needs are. So I think that is my marketing tactic, I guess.
So I know that like you have, you've got the website, you could do the e-commerce there, you're getting your stuff into other retailers. You have the Crochet Kitty headquarters, or that is kind of like a brick and mortar, but you can expand anywhere. There are cats everywhere. So how do you go? What are the plans that you take to go from, starting here in Northeast Ohio and selling these things globally?
Yeah, so we contact box companies. So another part of our business is that we work for box subscription companies. We make custom toys for them because they are always looking for something different for their themes and whatnot. But the great thing is that there's box companies all across the all across the world. So there's one in the UK. And so we contacted them and we're like, hey, is there anything that we can do for you? And they were like, yes, we need you. And I was like, great. So like the UK knows about Crochet Kitty. So there's other boxes, like there's a Japan box that we're trying to get into because, Japan loves their cats. So we are trying to get into a box there. Australia, there's a huge, it's almost like a PetSmart there. Very a little bit more boutique-y. And they have a ton of retailers across the that continent. And I'm like, if we could get into them. So trying to have conversation with them too is like, I'm so excited.
I want to ask, we're going to take a break here in just a minute, but I want to ask, and if this is not a good question, let me know.
Okay.
But you have a very unique personal brand with the cat ears and with your makeup and your hair color. And I tried to coordinate as best as I could today.
Yeah.
With that, how does your personal brand and how does Abbie affect or fit into, if at all, the company and the way that when you're at a booth or when you're talking to people, how does that fit in the mix?
Yeah, I think just being happy and giving a smile is just easy enough. If you just smile at somebody, they're gonna smile back at you, and then that's you're in, and you're just like, hey, do you got a cat? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, how many cats do you have? And I'm like, I get so excited. And it's always interesting what people tell you too, because then they're like, well, I'm a crazy cat person, and they feel so ashamed by it. And I'm like, don't be ashamed. That's awesome. You got 6 cats in your home. And they're like, oh, we know it's too many. No, it's not too many. Trust me, you're fine.
So oh boy, Olivia has a lot to say on this too. Yeah. I want to talk about those customers because having that solid customer base that can come back again and again is, that's high potential for a company like yours. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about creating customer care and paying attention to your audience and all that good stuff and some customer stories. We'll be right back on Small Business Big Conversations. Stay here. We are back with Abbie from Crochet Kitty on Small Business Big Conversations. Abbie, we right before the break we were talking about customers. I'm not going to say crazy cat person. I'm not going to say it because I have a cat and I don't think I'm crazy, although Goose is my little buddy.
But you're a cat dad.
Yeah, there you go. So in a lot of different industries, creating loyal customers can be a huge challenge. this is an industry where if, like you said earlier, if you get that hook, you can keep them coming back. So talk about how you've managed to build some loyalty in your customer base. What's been most effective for you in keeping them coming back?
Keeping them coming back. You email. Just keep emailing them. They love to see what's new. They want to see what else is going on in your business. They want to see videos of you working.
Yeah.
Like, just that is like enough for them to be like, wow, this is really cool.
Customers can't buy what they don't know about, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think just email the crap out of them. And it's kind of fun because we're cats, so like there's a ton of things we could talk about when it comes to cats. So like their health, their like, can they eat watermelon? Like, yes. So.
And knowing some of the materials that I've seen of yours, I know that you're a huge fan of cat puns as well.
Yes.
From a marketing strategy, do you feel like cat puns have paid off, and what are some of your favorites?
Yes, cat puns have always paid off. I said one time, I said to my graphic designer, I said, we really need to make a dictionary. Can we just create a dictionary of cat puns? Like, so that will eventually come around. But yes, so my favorites. I love purchase.
Yeah.
Because I always say it like, thank you for your purchase. Malnantity is another one of my favorites because it's one of our products, but it's a lot of fun because they're like, oh, it's a walrus, and I'm like, no, it's a manatee, and I was like, but it's a malnantity, and then they're like, what? This is so cute.
The reason I wanted to ask that question is mostly because your business does such a great job at displaying its personality. And that's why I asked you about yours and working your personal brand into it as well. And I think some of these companies that are in a niche market can really let loose from a strategic standpoint. Like, that is a strategy. Like, it's not just like, oh, we're going to do whatever we want, but it's like strategically, we're going to do these things that make us approachable and, display the fun and that sort of thing, because, Olivia here knows the toys are fun, but you have to get the owner's buy-in too.
Yeah.
I know that you have I know from a personal standpoint that you thrive on customer stories and testimonials.
Yes.
And that really kind of just fuels your passion, because this whole thing, all of this was created out of a story of your own and an experience of your own. So, I'd love to hear maybe one or two memorable stories from your customers that have particularly kind of inspired you and kept you going.
Yeah, so I actually have one that actually was very early on. It was a lady who came by my booth. At the time, I was in Hartville, a flea market. And she came by and she's like, oh, this is really cool, but my cat really likes the burlap sack that says catnip on it. And she's like, but I can't find it anywhere. And I was like, interesting, like, okay. And so I said, oh, I think I can create a toy like that. So I got some burlap fabric and made it a kicker and put some feathers on it and put some crinkle material in it. And I was like, this is a cool toy. And she came back like, maybe a month later or whatever. And I said, look, I made this for you, specifically for you. And she's like, really? And I said, yeah, I want you to go and try it out. And she's like, I think it's too big. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, that square is only like 3 inches by 3 inches. And I was like, just take it and see what happens. She came back literally the next day and she's like, oh my God, my cat just loved that toy. He was hugging it and kicking it and having a great time. And I was like, yes. And I was like, I'm going to make this product for a long time. And so the burlap kick and stick is still to this day a Crochet Kitty original. So it is still around. And cats love it because it's got that natural fiber. So they're drawn to that 100% hemp smell. It's like draws them in, and then the crazy catnip and the crinkle, the feathers. You can't go wrong.
So I always kind of wonder with products like this, where the consumer of the product is not the purchaser of the product, obviously. Your customers are advocates for their pets. And we talk about a lot on this show about finding your audience and market validation and testing. And how does that work in the pet toy world? Like, how are you going through the process of, other than anecdotal evidence of Hartville Flea Market Woman. How are you testing these and seeing what resonates?
Yeah.
Do you have just like, oh man, what's it called? What's a group of cats called? I know that you are.
Clouder.
Okay, so do you have a clouder of test kitties that come out, or how does that work?
Actually, our employees' cats are our test kitties. And my own cats, of course, but my employee cats are the first testers of everything. And then I have a few people on the side that I am like, hey, you want to try this out? And they're like, yes. And so we do have a few product testers out there that actually test out those products before we actually go. Because it actually helps us also reinvent it too.
Yeah.
So like if something, isn't as strong or as sturdy or it doesn't hold up as well, then we go back to the drawing board and we go, okay, we need to do something extra here and there. So yeah, so it's awesome.
Yeah, that was really going to be my follow-up is what happens if it's like either they just don't care or they rip it to shreds right away because you want it to be somewhat like I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, in this market, you want it to be durable enough to have extended use, but not too durable that it's going to last forever.
I know. I do fall in that market where I'm just like, please don't last forever. But then I have people who come back after they got in the shark and they're like, it's still going. And I'm like, damn it, like, I need to buy another shark. Like, so yeah, I walk a fine line with that because I'm like, man, I made it too durable. But it's awesome because people who have dogs and cats, their dogs can't rip into the shark. So then they're satisfied because then they're like, it's nice that I can have a cat toy that my dog didn't kill first, so.
And then it's kind of just on you guys to have a variety of other things to where it's like, well, we've got the shark. The shark is going to be a part of our family for the next 3 decades. Right. But now we've got all these other things too because there are other things available.
Exactly.
So this is all like a lot of the fun stuff about it, but entrepreneurship is not as much as you want to be happy all the time. It's not always easy. You're in a really competitive market with some major players that have been around for a long time. Talk about like some obstacles you've encountered, maybe whether it's getting into big box stores or fighting for shelf space with other bigger companies or that sort of thing. What are some of the hardest things, and how have you overcome them, or how are you working to overcome them?
Yeah, so getting into retailers is very hard because they're so used to getting cat toys that are cheaper. And they get this mindset of like, one, the cat customer doesn't want to spend a lot of money on their cat toys. But it's wrong. Like they will actually spend the money if it's a good product. Yeah. So trying to tell people, hey, like you're gonna end up with a better product in your store. Also, trying to also convey that with the toy over here that costs them maybe $1 or $2, and they're going, it sells, and they only get $1 or $2 in profit. But then there's our toys that are, cost a little bit more, so it's a little bit more. But they're going to get more profit for it. So now we're talking $4 to $5 for it. So now they're getting more money in their bank accounts. So trying to convey that to retailers is like, hey, you would be more profitable if you had our toys because you're offering something really kind of nice and something that will actually last and something that they'll actually come back and buy again versus that other toy over here. So that is definitely a challenge. what was the other question?
Well, I've got another one for you anyway.
Okay.
Just kind of in the line there. We talked to on a previous episode. We talked to Ethan Holmes of Holmes Mouthwatering, and they create different, all natural fruit, applesauce, and fruit products and things like that. And he told a story about getting into a retailer and having to procure SKUs and nutrition facts and all that stuff. I know you probably don't need nutrition facts on the cat toys, but like, what were some of the challenges there, and how did you know where to even start with some of that stuff?
Yeah, so SKUs, creating SKUs, we have barcodes for everything, but then you have your own personal SKUs. You have to name all the toys. You have to know their height, their weight, all this information. Mm-hmm. And then you think you know everything. And then they ask you something else. And so the other day I just got this question and I was like, oh my God. They want to know what the internal packaging is and what the master packaging is. And I was just like, what are they talking about? And so I actually had to sit there and put a ton of products in a box, in an internal box, mm-hmm. and then take that internal box into a master box. And I was just like, and then I had to weigh it all. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much work just for this, just to get this answer.
Is it basically like you find out that you have to do that because somebody just asks you or says that you have to do that, and then it's like, okay, we do this now, and then you just figure it out from there pretty much?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the name of the game, is that you gotta...
Is there any sort of like intellectual, other than your logo and things like that, is there intellectual property in this industry? What happens if somebody were to copy one of your toys or something like that? Has that happened?
Yes, that has happened. That's why you have good lawyers. And you have them to take care of it mm-hmm. for you. So our logo is trademarked, our name is trademarked, you have to have all these IPs. You have to have your intellectual property definitely secured and mm-hmm. safe gated. Another thing that I do that I don't know a lot of people do, I actually email myself when I make a new product. I make a new product.
So you have that record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, because email, it's there forever. So mm-hmm. I take pictures of it. I even take pictures of my drawings and everything, because then I email it to myself and I'm like, okay.
Then you've got the date stamp on it. So if you need to, that's good advice. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I love that idea. Abbie, I know that you're kind of an open book with a lot of things, and I've asked you about a couple challenges. I know that, you guys have worked through some financial challenges as well, as, again, many business owners do. Mm-hmm. Financial stability is crucial for every business, really. Yes. I mean, I'm not overstating that. Yeah. Can you talk about some of those financial challenges that you face, how you've managed your resources and sustained so that you can be in a position to grow?
I think my biggest challenge with financial is actually getting loans. Mm-hmm. Getting a loan from a bank, it's actually heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, you try and then you go to a different bank and then you mm-hmm. start their process and then they say no, and then you're like, okay, then I'll go to this bank. And so doing that whole thing is very hard, because it's such a challenge to make people understand your business is actually profitable. Mm-hmm. First thing. Number two, we had outstanding POs of $300,000 and we still couldn't get a loan. Yeah. And I just don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, is it what's specifically, if there was anything, were the responses there?
It's based on cash flow analysis. Yeah. And so if you don't have a lot of cash flow, but again, a lot of the POs that we get, we have to fork out the cost of the goods.
PO is purchase order, right?
Oh, yes.
I'm just making sure.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, sorry.
And the labor and mm-hmm. all that before we even get paid. So and sometimes we're in a net 30 or a net 90. Yeah. It just depends. And so a lot of banks are like,
Yeah. And there's, that's a specific thing, especially if you're in a manufactured goods space. I know, so I've told this story before, but In fact, when I talked to Ethan in the previous episode, that when I started Brewboat Cleveland, I did like the worst thing you can do, and I took out 3 personal loans, and I did that thing where like I had 3 different windows open on a browser, and I was applying online, and I clicked submit, like all at the same time, so that like it would like hit my credit report at the same time,
Yeah.
which I don't recommend. It did work out for me. Luckily, and the business was successful, but I did that because the first time I went and applied for loans, and I was like, yeah, I've got this party boat idea for the Cuyahoga River, and they're like, yeah, don't see that happening.
Yeah.
And couldn't get one, right? Mm-hmm. And then a couple years later, when I went to buy my second boat, and like my business was the opposite of yours, right? Mm-hmm. I took all my bookings in advance. So I got the money in the spring, and then it would, all be paid out to staff and everything out across the summer as we go. So when I went to buy, that second boat or whatever, and it was like I had all this in the account or whatever, they're like, yeah, SBA loan, here you go. Thanks for being a customer or whatever. And it's funny because then there were competitors and all that sort of thing, and now you can go on like 5 different boats on the Cuyahoga River. I was not the revolutionary on that or anything by any means, but like it's just like proving that story to one person is like can make or break a lot of things. Yeah. And so what have you done? Obviously getting the loans is an issue or has been a struggle. Yeah. What other things have you been doing to be sustainable?
I don't know how to answer that question.
I mean, you participating in grant programs and things like that,
grant programs, going to trade shows, I think is very important because then you're right in front of them, and you're like, hey, this is what I offer, and I think getting those POs from those really helps us, carry along. But box subscription companies are kind of bread and butter, like having those POs throughout the year. Like, then we know, hey, I'm going to have some cash flow here. Hey, I'm going to be needing to make this product. I need money for cost of goods and labor before that time. Yeah. So, like, I think that has definitely helped us. Having POs for the future year is definitely helpful.
So, future year, future years, future decades down the line for Crochet Kitty. Looking ahead, what are your goals? What new projects and products can we expect to see? Like, what are your dreams for Crochet Kitty?
My biggest ultimate dream is to be on Target's shelf. Awesome. I totally want to be like browsing Target and be like, there's Crochet Kitty, that's my cat toys. But also having a person purchase it right then and there would be even an ultimate woohoo moment. I think that is the biggest goal. Products, we got a few coming out here.
We don't have to talk about them. If you haven't emailed yourself pictures of them yet, then we don't have to talk about them. But
I got a few products coming out. So yeah, I try to have at least 5 new products every year because I think I want to give my customers something new. I don't want them to get the same old shark every year. I want to give them something new, but that's why the shark has been reinvented a billion times.
Sure, yeah.
We have Sharkula and we have Zombie Shark and Sunglass Shark. So we just kind of keep reinventing some of the products, but we got a few new ones that are coming out that
awesome.
I'm
I look forward
about.
to it. Abbie, it's always so much fun to talk to you. Your smile and your laugh is infectious, and I'm still a little bit creeped out by Olivia over here, but I'm glad you're both able to come in and talk today because it's just so much fun every time I get to see you. Before we go to another break, knowing that you're in a niche industry in manufacturing and all these things that go on with it, what advice do you have for anybody, not other cat toy manufacturers, let's not give them anything, but like for anybody else that's thinking of starting something, or even if it was like, if you could go back and give yourself advice, what would you offer out there?
Ooh, That's a two-part question. First thing, I would definitely say take the risk. If you have a business idea, go for it. Like, the only person stopping you is you and your fear. So just go ahead and do it. Like, you'll be super surprised how you manage to overcome and problem solve a lot of things. Crap, I know there was a second question there.
What advice would you give yourself?
What advice would I give myself? Okay, myself, I would have told myself to move out of my house a long time ago with my business. I think having extra space really helped us and have my life back in my house. But also, like, when you're out of your home, you become more inventive with yourself because you're like, oh, I got rent to pay. Oh, I got this stuff to pay. But you're like, ooh, but if I do this and I do this, like, then things will snowball into, more money. So I think that moving out of my house, I would have told myself, do it sooner.
Go get the shop and start building them there.
Yeah.
I love it. We are going to take a real quick break. We're going to be back with our Fast Five, our lightning round with Abbie from Crochet Kitty. Stick around. We'll be right back.
My name is Valerie Mayen, and my business is the Yellow Cake Shop Clothing Company. We have been operational since 2009, and I really didn't see some real actual growth until I started working with Jumpstart. When I learned how to actually keep track of my expenses and set actual goals, I was able to discover so much more that I was capable of that I didn't realize.
Jumpstart provides capital, services, and connections to help entrepreneurs grow. Get started today at jumpstartinc.org.
We're back with Small Business Big Conversations. Abbie, we've reached the pinnacle moment of the podcast. The Fast Five, our lightning round. Here's how this works. The Fast Five is actually 6 questions, right, Olivia? Where you have to answer 5 of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If you answer all 6, you're going to win a prize.
Whoa.
Okay. We have no budget for prizes.
So it's a prize, just the pun.
So I'm going to give you some cat treats that I brought from home because I couldn't buy any new ones. Okay. All right. So here we go. Question number 1: what's the most unusual inspiration you've had for a new toy design?
Unusual. Okay. Well, I had to come up with some cat dad toys. So I have one in mind that is actually a restroom sign of a man. And it says, "My favorite human." And it could be basically the cat loves it, or it could be the cat hates it. So that was one of my
All right. We will look for that on Target shelves as soon as it comes out. If you could have dinner with any entrepreneur or CEO, who would it be and why?
Ooh, wow. Who do I want to have dinner with? That is so interesting. I probably would want to have dinner with Jimmy Haslam because I'm a big Browns fan.
Okay.
And then I can tell him, how much that I love him and how much I love the Browns.
I thought you were going to say then you could get product licensing and start having...
Well, shit, that would have been better.
All right, we'll consider that both the answer. What's your favorite productivity tool or app?
Ooh. I got to say my favorite one right now is Jasper.
Okay.
Which is my AI. I love using him. I say he's actually one of my employees because all my Facebook posts and everything are generated from AI. I'm basically, it saves me so much time. Mm-hmm. So don't think that I just
and follow-up question, but this isn't part of that. But I think for a lot of people out there, this is really valuable. How do you maintain your brand voice and that sort of thing when using AI to to produce it?
That's actually kind of cool. Jasper actually has a brand voice. You can actually insert your website links. Mm-hmm. You can insert products, and based on how you talk in those pages, he can create
Very cool.
more stuff for you.
Cool.
So,
How's Jasper with the cat puns?
oh, he's awesome.
Okay, all right.
He is really awesome. I was just like, whoa, Jasper, coming up on top of things.
I think I already know the answer to this because you mentioned it earlier, but if you could travel to any country and explore their pet industry, where would you go and why?
Ooh, yeah, I would go to Japan.
That's what I
think,
figured it would
think
be,
it would
yeah.
be really cool. Cat Island, I would totally like dig just going there, just hanging out with all the cats.
What's your favorite dog breed?
Okay, well, I will go with the dog that I had,
Okay.
which was a Coton de Tulier.
All right. For those not familiar,
Yeah, so he's kind of like a spinoff of a Bichon Frise and a Maltese.
Okay.
He just was so cute as a little dog. Like,
So I used to have a Shiba Inu, which is a Japanese dog breed.
Okay.
And Shiba Inu literally translates to little cat dog because they do act like cats. So if you're ever looking for a puppy again, I would throw that out there. You do need to walk them though; they don't go in the litter box. Maybe you could train them that way. I don't know. Final question: you're gonna get the treats. I have to go to my car and get them. If you weren't an entrepreneur, what would you be doing?
I'd be a fashion designer. I would definitely be a fashion designer of some sort. I had an interview actually in Chicago for a fashion design job, making prom dresses, and I thought that would be a dream job. And I was like, that would be so cool. And now I'm like, why didn't I get that job? But I do love what I do, so that would be what I would do.
Awesome. Abbie, you're off the hot seat. That's all 6 questions.
Woo!
Like I said, I just love talking to you, and any time that I can be in your presence is a blessing. So thank you
Yes.
so much
Thank
for coming on the show. We
you.
really appreciate it.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for having me. And Olivia. She's been kind of quiet this time.
Before you and Olivia take off, this is time for plugs. So plug everything. Where can people find Crochet Kitty? Where can they buy them? Let us know.
Yeah, so you can go 24/7 to crochetkitty.com, or you can go into our lovely little store in Parma at 12100 Snow Road, Unit 1. It's in the plaza with the B&V. That's where how people remember it. And then, yeah, and you can see me at any show that's coming up. So there's CatCon, there's CFA International Cat Show. There'll be 78 Studio in Cleveland there, so I'll be at all those.
Awesome. We'll see you out there. Thanks, Abbie.
Thanks.
My guest today has been Abbie Swisher of Crochet Kitty. You can visit her website at crochetkitty.com or follow along on Instagram at Crochet Kitty LLC. Thanks again to Abbie for joining us today. Thanks to the folks at VAR Studios for all the work on the production side behind the scenes. Thanks to everybody at Jumpstart for making this all happen. And of course, thanks to you for tuning in. While you're here, we hope that you'll subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can be notified of new episodes as well as featured short videos. I'm Freddie Coffee, and we'll see you next time on Small Business Big Conversations.